Survivor, Chapter 31. Part of her doing suicide intervention as my caseworker has to mix me another gin and tonic. This is while I'm talking long distance on the telephone. A producer for the Don Williams show is holding on line 2. All the lines are blinking. Somebody from Barbara Walters holding on line 3. Top priority is my getting somebody to handle the buzz. The breakfast dishes are piled up in the sink, not washing themselves. Top priority is my hooking up with a good agent. Upstairs, the beds are still unmade. The gardens need to be repainted. Over the telephone, this one top agent is stressing about what if I'm not the sole survivor. This has to be the case, is what I'm saying. The caseworker wouldn't be dropping up by for a breakfast gin and tonic if there hadn't been another suicide last night. Right here on this kitchen table, I have spread out in front of me all the other case history folders. The government's whole survivor retention program is what you call a washout. It's the caseworker mixing me gin and tonics who needs some suicide intervention. Just to make sure I don't go south on her, the caseworker is eyeing me. Just to keep her out of my way, I have her slicing a lime. Get me some cigarettes. Mix me a fresh drink, I say, or I'll kill myself, I swear. I'll go in the bathroom and hack all my veins open with a razor. The caseworker brings my new gin and tonic back to where we're sitting at the kitchen table and asks if I want to help identify some bodies. This is supposed to help me achieve closure. After all, she says, they are my people, my flesh and blood, my kith and kin. She's fanning the same 10-year-old government photos out on the table, staring up at me at hundreds of dead people laid out shoulder to shoulder in rows on the ground. Their skin is all bruised black from the cyanide. They're bloated so much the dark homemade clothes on them are tight. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The whole recycling process should be quick and easy, but it's not. The bodies lie there stiff and rank. This is the caseworker trying to jumpstart my emotions. I'm regressing my grief, she says. Would I like to wade in and what you call ID these dead people? If there is a killer out there, she says, I can help find the person who should be pictured here dead but isn't. Thanks, I say. No thanks. Without even looking, I know Adam Branson won't be dead in any of her pictures. As the caseworker goes to sit down, I ask would she mind closing the curtains. There's a van from a network affiliate outside shooting video for a satellite feed through the kitchen window. Their dirty breakfast dishes piled up in the foreground. That's not how I want to look on the news tonight. The dirty dishes in the sink. Me and the caseworker sitting at the kitchen table with the telephone and all the manila folders spread out on the yellow and white check tablecloth, gin and tonics in hand at 10 a.m. The voiceover of the newscaster will be saying how the sole survivor of America's latest death cult, the Creedish, is on suicide watch, following the tragic string of suicides that one by one have claimed the lives of the remaining cult survivors. Then, cut to commercial. The caseworker goes through her last client folders. Brandon deceased, Walker deceased, Phillips deceased, everybody except me. The girl last night, the only other remaining survivor of the Creedish Church District, she ate dirt. There's even a name for it. They call it geophagy. This was popular among the Africans brought to America as slaves. Popular probably isn't the right word. She knelt down in the backyard of the house where she'd served for 11 years, and she spooned the dirt out of a rose bed and right into her mouth. This is all in the caseworker's report. Then something called esophageal rupture happened. When peritonitis, then around sunrise, she was dead. The girl before that one died with her head in the oven. The boy before her cut his throat. This is exactly what the church taught. One day the wickedness of the kings of the world would destroy us. O sorrow, and armies of the world would march upon us, wailing, and the purest children of God would have to deliver themselves unto the Lord by their own hand. The deliverance. Yeah, and everybody not delivered unto the Lord among the first leaving should follow behind as soon as possible. So for the past 10 years, one after another, men and women, maids and gardeners, and factory workers all over the country have been giving themselves up, despite the survivor retention program. Except for me. I asked the caseworker, would she mind making the beds? If I had to have to make one more hospital corner, I swear, I'll stick my head in the food processor. If she agrees, I promise to be alive when she gets back. Upstairs she goes. I say thanks. After the caseworker told me about everybody in the Creedish district colony being dead and all, the first thing I did was start smoking. The smartest thing I've ever done is start smoking. When the caseworker dropped by to say rise and shine, the only other surviving Creedish went south last night. Then I sat myself in the kitchen and upped my suicide process with a good stiff drink. It's church doctrine that says I have to kill myself. They don't say it has to be a hurry, instant, quick death. The newspaper's still out on the doorstep. The breakfast dishes unwashed. The people I work for, they've gone off to escape the spotlight. This is after years of my rewinding their rental porn and pre-soaking their stains. He's a banker. She's a banker. They have cars. They own this lovely house. They own me to have the beds and mow the lawn. The truth be told, they probably left so they wouldn't come home one night and find me suicidal on the kitchen floor. Their 4 telephone lines are still holding. The Don Williams Show, Barbara Walters, the agent is saying to get a hand mirror and practice looking sincere and innocent. One of the manila folders has my name on the tab. The top sheet inside the folder is all the basics about the documented persons who survived the Creedish colony disaster. The agent is saying product endorsements. The agent is saying my own religious program. It's documented in the folder how more than 200 years Americans had considered the Creedish the most pious, the most hardworking, decent, sensible people left on earth. The agent is saying $1 million advance for my life story in hardcover. The background sheet says how 10 years ago, a local sheriff served the elders of the Creedish Church District with a search warrant. They were charges of child abuse. It was some crazy anonymous allegation that families in the church where did I lost my place. It was some crazy anonymous allegation that families in the church district were having children and having children and having children, and none of these children were documented. No birth certificates, no social security numbers, nothing. All these births occurred within the church district. All these children had attended church district schools. None of these children would ever be allowed to marry or raise children. When they turned 17, they were all baptized as adult church members and then sent off into the world. This has all become what you would call public knowledge. The agent is saying, my own exercise video. The agent is saying, an exclusive for the cover of People magazine. Somebody leaked these crazy rumors to some child welfare peon, and the next thing is the sheriff and 2 carloads of deputies being dispatched to the Creedish Church District in Bolster County, Nebraska, to count heads and make sure everything is official. It was the sheriff who called in the FBI. The agent on the phone is saying, talk show circuit. The FBI had learned how children sent out into the world were considered labor missionaries by the Creedish. It was the government investigation that called it white slavery. The television people called it the child slave cult. These kids would be placed when they turned 17 by Creedish overseers in the outside world who found them jobs as manual labor or domestic help on a cash pay basis. Temp jobs that could last for years. It was the newspapers who called it the Church of Slave Labor. The church district would pocket the cash, and the outside world got an army of clean, honest little Christian maids and gardeners and dishwashers and house painters who'd been raised to believe the only way they could earn a soul is if they worked to death for nothing more than room and board. The agent is saying to me, syndicated newspaper column. When the FBI moved in to make arrests, they found the entire population of district colony shut up in the meeting house. Maybe the same person who leaked this crazy story about child slaves as a cash crop. It could be the same person had let the colony know the government was about to invade. Every farm going into Bolster County was deserted. It would come out later that every cow, every pig, chicken, pigeon, cat, and dog was dead. Even goldfish and fish bowls were poisoned. Every Creedish perfect little farm with its white farmhouse and red barn was silent as the National Guard drove past. Every field of potatoes was silent and empty under blue sky and a few clouds. The agent is saying, my very own Christmas special. According to the background report, here with the manila folders, the kitchen table, the caseworker making beds upstairs, the heat of the lighter as I light another cigarette, this practice of sending labor missionaries had gone on for more than 100 years. The Creedish had just gotten richer and bought more land and had more children. More children had disappeared out of the valley every year. Girls were shipped out in the spring and boys in the fall. The agent is saying, my own fragrance. The agent is saying, my own line of autographed Bibles. The missionaries were invisible in the outside world. The church wasn't trouble with paying taxes. According to church doctrine, the most noble you could be was to just do your work and hope to live long enough to show the district an enormous profit. The rest of your life was supposed to be a burden, making the beds of other people, caring for other people's babies, cooking food for other people, forever and ever, work without end. The plan was little by little to bring about a Creedish paradise by acquiring the whole world an acre at a time, until the FBI vans rolled to a stop an official 300 feet outside the doors of the church district meeting house. The air was still, according to the official investigation into the massacre. No sound came from the church. The agent is saying inspirational tapes. The agent is saying Caesar Palace. It was then that everybody in the world started calling the Creedish the Old Testament death cult. The cigarette smoke chokes past the point where my throat would close it out and sits in my chest, thick in my chest. The caseworker folders document the stragglers. Survivor retention client number 63, Biddy Patterson, age approximately 29, killed herself by ingesting cleaning solvent 3 days after the Colony District incident. Survivor retention client Tender Smithson, age 45, killed himself by stepping out of a window of the building where he worked as a janitor. The agent is saying my own 1976 Salvation hotline. The smoke hot and dense inside me feels the way I would if I had a soul. The agent is saying my own infomercial. The people black and swollen with their giving up. Long rows of people the FBI carried dead out of the meeting house. They lie there black with the cyanide in their last communion. These are the people who, whatever they imagined was coming down the road, they'd rather die than meet it. They died together in one mass, holding each other by the hand so tight the FBI had to pry it at their dead fingers to take them apart. The agent is saying celebrity superstar. It's church doctrine that right now, while the caseworker is gone, I should take a knife from the dishes in the sink and hack out my windpipe. I should spill my guts out on the kitchen floor. The agent, he'll handle the buzz with the Don Williams Show and Barbara Walters. Among the deceased is a manila folder with my own name on it. In it I read, Survivor retention client number 84 has lost everyone he ever loved and everything that gave his life meaning. He is tired and sleeps most of the time. He has started drinking and smoking. He has no appetite. He seldom bathes and hasn't shaved in weeks. 10 years ago, he was the hard-working salt of the earth. All he wanted was to go to heaven. Sitting here today, everything that he worked for in the world is lost. All his external rules and controls are gone. There is no hell, there is no heaven. Still, just dawning on him is the idea that now anything is possible. Now he wants everything. I shut the folder and slip it back in the pile. Just between him and me, the agent asks, is there any chance I'm going to off myself soon? Staring up through my gin and tonic, the sunken faces of everybody from my past are dead in the government pictures under my drink. After moments like this, your whole life is gravy. I freshen my drink. I light another cigarette. Really, my life no longer has a point. I'm free. This and I stand to inherit 20,000 acres of central Nebraska. How this feels is just like 10 years ago when I rode with the police downtown. And once again, I am weak. And minute by minute, I'm moving away from salvation and into the future. Kill myself? Thanks, I say. No thanks. Let's not rush anything here. Tune in till next time.